when I first started out as a professional photographer, there was a few bad habits that I picked up. One of them being blindly agreeing to what my clients were wanting. If they say, "Oh, we want 300 photos in 2 hours," I'd do 300 photos in 2 hours. And it didn't necessarily serve to better their marketing or anything like that. They believed that just having more content for the sake of having content was a good thing. Then Facebook changed their algorithms about how photo and video content is shared and syndicated through, and the reach of these albums started to dwindle quite considerably. Looking at one of the previous albums could have been engaged with over 100,000 people, and now, after an algorithm change, the engagement figures go down to about 2,000 or 3,000. My clients initially thought I was to blame for that, and they dropped me, and they used someone else, and then they seen the figures are still pretty much staying roughly the same. But yeah, I mean, blindly agreeing to, doing whatever the client wanted for the sake of a few extra bit of money, the client, it served in their interest because they were getting cheap work from someone who was still technically in full-time education. Now, when a client says, "Oh, we need 300 photos in 2 hours," unless it's something extremely unique and they're paying incredibly well, so I just say to them, no, it's not going to happen. The bad habits that also stem from that is your clients do kind of treat you as a disposable commodity that they feel they need to utilise to the maximum. Now, that sets a bad precedent. When I got one of my first really, really good clients, I was shocked that they weren't speaking to me like a piece of shit. They respected the work that I was doing. They paid pretty much the going rate that I was asking. There's always going to be some haggling in one way or another, but they allowed me to do my thing, be left to my own devices, and produce the content that they wanted. And in return, they were really, really cool to deal with. What I've noticed, particularly with things like event clients, whether that's venue, promotion team, marketing company, is they try and put you in a position to drive down the price. Now, I understand cutting down on marketing costs is always going to be at the forefront of any business. If they can save a few quid, they can save a few quid. But what has happened recently is, this is only within the last 4 or 5 years, the way in which photographers do business and their costs in particular. Costs now are higher than what they used to be. We could buy a camera, we could buy the software, have a lens, etc., etc., and that's it. One-time cost, cool, everything's all right. Now, everyone is trying to push out for a subscription service, whether that's in the form of Adobe or Capture One. Now, I use both for different kinds of work. I can save that for another video. Lightroom, yeah, it's a cheap cost. You're looking at about £8-10 a month, which is next to nothing, but it's a continual cost. Capture One, on the other hand, is considerably more expensive, but I feel is drastically more powerful. Again, subscription service, we're looking at something like, I think it's about 20-30 a month for something like that. Now, trying to get my clients to understand that these are, costs of business. Without this, I can't do my job, is tough. They only see, one part of the job. They see you photograph for how many hours that you've been contracted for, and they don't necessarily see the back end that goes into stuff like this. So, I mean, we've got the amount of time for editing, production of deliverables, and all the other little bits and pieces that go into, the jobs that you have to do. Some jobs, if I'm travelling to an event, we're looking at about 2 hours travel for the sake of an hour or 2 hours worth of work. Some clients are called to, reimburse for travel costs. Others aren't going to try and factor that into the rate that I'm quoting them. But it's a particular kind of client that is trying to drive you down in price. They constantly refer to being able to get a student to be able to do the job for you. And when you get a client that does things like that, it's like, well, hang on, mate, do you value the thing that I'm doing? Naturally, because I'm producing the content for you in order to engage a larger audience. The types of social content creation I do typically revolve around social marketing and things like that. Now, in order to do these kind of jobs, we have to take a lot of time and consideration into producing the right kind of content for the right client. There's certain jobs that can approach me and I'll turn them down because it's not within my skill set to do, but there's other jobs where I'm like, yes, I can do something like that, that's absolutely fine. And then the client's like, yeah, that's cool, we really, really want you, but about the price, can you do it for 1/3 of what you quoted? And it's now coming to the point where I don't need clients like that. Clients like that serve no long-term benefit. They sometimes say, oh, but we can get you regular work and we'll look after you and all that kind of thing. I mean, that's understandable, yeah, if you can get regular work, absolutely fine. But if you're doing it for 1/3 the price, or half the price, or whatever, less than what you're being given out as a quote, then the client doesn't value your services as much as they should. Now, there is some instances where people within my area have charged considerably less, or even have done certain jobs for free that I've quoted for, and they have always said, oh, exposure is going to be the big thing that gets me. If I photograph this one person, what will happen is I will get seen by someone else, and then I'll get an extra job that will pay more money, and in getting more money, I can do bigger and better jobs. It doesn't work out like that. Exposure only jobs very, very rarely turn out to be beneficial, and that's something that a lot of new people don't necessarily understand in the game of being a creative professional. There are jobs which you can do for fun, and in doing so you can get some enjoyment from it. But there are other times where a client will ask for a lot more for a lot less, and you just have to think, no, it's not necessarily worth the time to be able to do something like that. The amount of effort that goes into it is just not worth it, and in the sake of being a creative professional, you do have to say, no, I'll turn down that job, I can go without, I'll find another client that will take me on. It might take a bit longer, but if you can start working with a client base that treats and understands you well, then you are in a position to greatly improve your business relations communication skills, and ultimately develop your business into something that you want to see grow.